Hey everyone, John from Nintendo Life here, and I'm a big supporter of game preservation. If it weren't for services such as the Virtual Console, there'd be so many games that I just wouldn't have experienced myself. But preservation can go beyond that. Recently, the original Famicom Fire Emblem game was released in English on the Switch. And yeah, it was a limited release, but still, that's a really cool thing to do. And the Wii U Virtual Console did a couple of things just like this. So without further ado, let's check out some Wii U Virtual Console games that either do things that were impossible on the original release, or were highly inaccessible. Anyway, let's check them out. Super Mario Advance 4 Super Mario Bros. 3 is a very weird title, but this is the Mario 3 I grew up with. It's very similar to the All-Stars version, only Mario won't shut up.
Oh, mamma mia!
But there's one big addition I never experienced until the Wii U, and I'm sure most people didn't. The e-reader levels. The Nintendo e-reader didn't launch in Europe, so a big chunk of the world probably don't even know what this thing is. It's basically a giant card reader you'd plug into your Game Boy Advance, and using it you'd scan in these special cards, sold separately most of the time, and it would unlock new things in Game Boy Advance games. There were quite a few cards, and nowadays they are a rarity. These are the collections of @Creator Snow 1 and Joe Merrick of Cerebi, and as you can see, there's a lot of them. There were even some exclusively released in Japan. So there were power-up cards you could scan in, which would basically give you a free power-up in a very similar fashion to how Amiibo work in Mario Odyssey. There's also demo cards, which show a Nintendo employee playing a stage of the game. So those are kinda neat, but also not exactly worth losing sleep over if you miss out on them. What you really wanted were the level cards. For Super Mario Advance 4, there were 38 brand new levels made specifically for the e-reader. So even if the e-reader released in your country, having it and then obtaining all those cards is another issue. It's something very few people did, and that's why the Wii U Virtual Console version is extremely special, because right off the bat, every single e-reader level is unlocked. Yeah, they made new Mario 3 levels in 2003, and barely anyone got a chance to play them, but now, here's your chance. It starts off with 5 recreations of Mario 1 levels, and seeing them in the Mario 3 engine is bizarre. Especially the Bowser battle. He acts just like he does in Mario 1, so no butt slam, and seeing him like this just feels very odd. But this is far from the extent of the value of these levels. Everything from here on is original, and not only that, but some of them take attributes and mechanics that weren't even in Mario 3. The snake blocks, for example, came from Mario World, as does this triangular block. But that stuff is pretty basic compared to what I'm about to show you. Yeah, I just plucked a turnip. These levels take anything across the entire Mario Advance series, and it's all fair game. Here's a charging Chuck from Mario World, and I'm going to throw a Mario 2 turnip at him in Mario 3. What is life anymore? There's even one lone level that gives you the Mario World cape power-up, and once you finish that, you can return to prior levels and use the cape in them. Now you can get over the flagpole in 1-1. There really is some amazing stuff in here, and given a lot of it is sort of post-game material, the difficulty can be really high in some of them. Like this boss room has 2 Boom Booms, and one of them can fly. It's also cool to see this boss battle come back. It's just like it was in Mario World. The whole set of levels is just fascinating. Some of them feel like cut levels from the main game. Others are weird crossovers with other Mario games. And some are basically Mario Maker levels made a decade beforehand. Alright, hands up. Which one of you made this one? People have been asking for a new 2D sprite-based Mario for years now, but little do some know, it's basically right here. This is Mario's Sonic Mania, only it came out a long time ago. If you've never tried it, you really should. In fact, I'll go as far to say that this is one of the key reasons to own a Wii U. And by the way, when you beat Bowser in the 1-4 remake, instead of there being a Toad, there's a frog suit, and that's just so cute. You're too cute, Nintendo. When I boot up the tremendous Drill Dozer, I get this message. And you might be thinking, but John, Drill Dozer did release, you idiot! And yeah, it did release in the States and Japan, but it completely skipped Europe. But that's not exactly uncommon. The Virtual Console's given us so many titles that never came out in Europe. Final Fantasy 4 and 6 never came to Europe. Earthbound never came to Europe. Chrono Trigger never came to Europe. Mario RPG never came to Europe. Basically every Super Nintendo RPG, apart from like 4 of them, didn't come to Europe. So what makes Drill Dozer special? Well, this isn't just the American ROM. This is a legit PAL version released 10 years later, meaning, unlike the American version, this isn't just in English. If English isn't your first language, then for the very first time you can play in German, Spanish, French, and Italian. That may not sound as big as adding like 40 different levels, but for many people, this allows them to enjoy the story for the first time. Also, Drill Dozer's fantastic. This is made by Game Freak, who you may know for Tembo the Badass Elephant, and it's a really interesting puzzle platformer. It was one of the few GBA games to have a rumble pack in the cartridge, and if you're playing on Wii U with a Pro Controller, that functionality carries over here too. It may not be the biggest and most exciting change on this list, but more people playing Drill Dozer is only a good thing. Modern displays basically killed the light gun genre on consoles. These things only really work with CRTs, so if you try playing on a flat screen, nothing. Now in fairness, there was a revival on the Wii. We saw games like Ghost Squad, House of the Dead Overkill, Resident Evil The Umbrella Chronicles, and of course, Link's crossbow training, baby! It was short-lived, but the Wii did give this genre new life. In fact, Wii Play even gave a nod to one of Nintendo's earliest light gun games, being Duck Hunt. No one really expected the original Duck Hunt to ever come back. There was no precedent for Virtual Console games to be given a new control scheme, but in 2014, Duck Hunt came to Wii U Virtual Console, and this time, it had motion controls. You play the game entirely with a Wii Remote, and on screen at all times is a cursor, and you can turn it off if you want to, but it's a bit tricky. It's a much easier game with the cursor than it's ever been before, but if you turn it off, you're still not quite calibrated to the screen unless your sensor bar is perfectly placed. But either way, even if this isn't quite perfect, this is still Duck Hunt being preserved, and this game, more than most, needs it. In its original state, it simply can't be played by most people. When I played Smash for the first time, I didn't know what an Earthbound was. Who's this kid with the stripy shirt? Is he a Pokemon? Earthbound didn't launch in Europe, but even if you lived in America, there's a very strong chance you didn't play Earthbound. It didn't sell very well, and nowadays, the game's a rarity. It completely skipped the Wii Virtual Console, and fans had given up hope. But then, in 2013, Earthbound miraculously released on the Wii U worldwide. So not only could Americans play Earthbound, but all of Europe could for the very first time. I loved it so much that I had to buy a physical cartridge. Earthbound is just such a special game. But this didn't stay on the Wii U. Earthbound's on 3DS and the Super Nintendo Classic, and not you yet, but depending on when you're watching this video, maybe you? But in 2015, Nintendo gave us Earthbound Beginnings, the first official localized release of Mother 1. This game was basically finished on the NES, but the release was still held back because it was just a bit too late. Kinda similar to Star Fox 2. So for around 26 years, English Mother 1 just stayed resting in Nintendo's vault. And let me tell you, when it finally officially released, it was an event. Earthbound fans were so happy, and for the very first time, a lot of people played this game. It's certainly a bit more rough than Earthbound, but this is still a very special game. The basic DNA is still there. I definitely recommend playing Earthbound first, but there's still a lot to appreciate with this one. And unlike Earthbound, this has never left the Wii U. The Nintendo DS was Nintendo's first proper jump into online, and unfortunately, that's all dead now. You can't play Mario Kart DS online, you can't play Metroid Prime Hunters online, and you can't access the online store in Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon. However, in the Wii U Virtual Console version, that store was made offline. Virtual Console doesn't magically revive the servers of DS games, so most of them are still offline, but this was a really cool fix, and in fact Animal Crossing Wild World did something similar. To upgrade Tom Nook's store to Nookington's, what you had to do was first spend 240,000 bells and then have a friend buy something from the store. Now that's kinda hard now. Online simply doesn't work anymore, and good luck finding a local friend who plays Wild World still. In the Wii U Virtual Console version, that friend requirement is no longer there. Nice little consideration. So what was your favourite example from this video? I'm glad I caught that. And are there any that we forgot? Let us know in the comments below, and be sure to go to that subscribe button and find a Japanese version of it, but then right behind it find an English version and release it to the world! Go and do that, and we'll catch you next time. Bye everyone! The Wii U says bye too.